communities across the South and Midwest are digging out from a swarm of deadly tornadoes. More than 40 reported across 6 states, leaving scores dead, some areas completely flattened. Kentucky's Governor Andy Beshear called it the most deadly tornado event in the history of the state. President Biden approved an emergency declaration promising the federal government will do everything possible to help with rescue and recovery. Those efforts continuing around the clock, and our team is on the ground across the region. The hardest hit site, a candle factory in Mayfield, Kentucky, where dozens were killed, 40 people still missing. And we begin in Mayfield with ABC News Live anchor Linsey Davis. Good morning, Linsey.
Hey, good morning to you, George. You know, I'm seeing it firsthand, and still I'm having a difficult time really getting my mind around the magnitude of the devastation here in Mayfield, Kentucky. Since it is Sunday morning, it feels appropriate to start with church. After all, this is a community that is in need of and asking for prayer. Take a look from our drone. All this rubble here less than 48 hours ago, there was a church right behind me. In this 2-block area alone, 3 churches have been destroyed, perhaps just when they are needed most. A prayer service is planned to take place here this morning in the midst of the rubble. We had a look inside the First Christian Church of Mayfield. Last Sunday, they welcomed worshipers. This morning, it is decimated. Everywhere you look, there is this evidence of splintered houses and splintered lives, heaps of what once was, remnants of what used to be. One of the tornadoes stayed on the ground for 227 miles, the winds reaching 155 miles per hour, which is faster than most passenger trains. You've heard the headlines, at least 70 dead, that this is Kentucky's most devastating, most deadly tornado in the state's history. But the scenes and the stories here on the ground, that's what really puts things in perspective. Just think about what has preoccupied your own thoughts in the past 24 hours. And then think about people like Angie, a woman here in Kentucky who describes both her and her mother being picked up and sucked out of their house. Her mom went to the hospital. Their house is destroyed. They have lost everything. Just one story of so many. An estimated 60,000 customers are now without power here in Kentucky. But in some ways, they're the fortunate ones. They still have a household. Power can, of course, be restored. Some of the places of worship here that are able to remain open have moved service till 3 o'clock in order to allow members to use the morning daylight to begin this long road ahead of recovery. George.
Linsey, you said it's so hard to wrap your mind around it. We heard the same thing from the governor. We heard the same thing from President Biden yesterday. This recovery effort could take weeks, months.
For sure. I mean, the places that are still standing, the schools, the hotels, the churches, many of them are working as shelters at this point. Many of them also have staging areas where they're asking people to bring whatever they can, whether that's water, whether that's diapers, whether that's a pack and play, because, you know, quite often people talk about picking up the pieces, George. You know, in this case, for so many people, they're starting from scratch. They just lost it all.
Linsey Davis, thank you. And of course, it's not just Kentucky. As we said, 6 states hit by this swarm of tornadoes. I want to go to Rob Marciano, our senior meteorologist, who's at the Amazon warehouse that was destroyed in Edwardsville, Illinois. Such a wide path of destruction, Rob.
Yeah, George, 9 confirmed tornadoes so far, but several more reported. We still have to have storm survey teams go out and analyze the situation, especially the one that went through Mayfield, that one potentially going on the ground for across 4 states for over 200 miles. This one here in Edwardsville was an EF3 tornado with 155-mile-per-hour winds cutting through this Amazon facility. This is a new facility. You can see behind me exactly what it looks like now. This is a hole about a football field wide, 3 to 4 stories tall. Some pretty stunning before and after photographs. There were 6 fatalities here. Over 40 employees scrambling for safety when the tornado warnings went off. But when you see what happened to this building, which is less than 5 years old, with concrete walls 11 inches thick, what these winds did to it, there probably was no place to hide. Same for the nursing home in Arkansas and also all the buildings across parts of Kentucky. Safety will be a question asked today, George, not for this facility, but across the one in Mayfield. But in some cases, when the buildings are just completely flattened, there's just nowhere to hide, George.
Rob, and it's so unusual to see tornadoes like this in December.
It is. And matter of fact, EF3 tornadoes in Kentucky, that's never happened to have 3 of them. We've had EF2 tornadoes in December. So this likely is going to go down as an unprecedented event as far as the strength of these storms are concerned. We had record-breaking heat added in advance of it, and that certainly fueled these very spring-like storms. So an unusual event, very rare indeed, George.
And we expect more inclement weather across the region this week.
We're going to see a seesaw in temperatures, that's for sure. You know, the problem with having tornadoes come through in cold winter months is that hundreds of thousands of people are without power, potentially without heat. Temperatures this morning below freezing. They'll be below freezing again tomorrow morning. So not just the recovery, but the survival for those who still have a home to go back to just for shelter may not have heat. So it's a tough go for a lot of people, George.
And Rob, finally, President Biden talked about the connection to climate change yesterday. Explain more about that.
You know, climate change, we know for sure it impacts floods, it impacts wildfires, certainly droughts and heat waves, and in some cases hurricanes. But we're just not sure about severe weather and tornadoes. But what we are seeing is that having this happen in the month of December this far north, that is unprecedented. So maybe not affecting the strength of tornadoes, but where and when they happen, that seems to be direct link towards climate change. George.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.